Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. Today we are breaking down 3 S-tier solo builds for Title Update 20, which includes the best gear pieces, weapons, specializations, and playstyle for each setup. These builds are designed to make you feel extremely powerful, and we achieve this by using some of the strongest gear sets and weapons in the Division 2. Thanks to Project Resolve and some much needed quality of life changes, these builds are now better than ever. Real quick, guys, if you didn't already know, this month I'm giving away a free BenQ monitor. Thanks to my partnership with BenQ, I've been able to give away a free monitor every month since last November. This month, I'm giving away the EX2710S monitor, which features a 27-inch display, 1 millisecond response time, and 165 Hz. It also has Color Shuttle, which lets you save your fine-tuned color and depth on your monitor, and HDRI, which offers more saturated colors and vivid imagery. Everyone is eligible to enter the giveaway. All you have to do is click the link in the pinned comment below. The more entries you submit, the higher your chances will be of winning. I will select the winner on February 22nd. Good luck, everyone. We're starting this top 3 list with one of the best raw damage builds in the Division 2. This build sacrifices survivability for high DPS, which is okay because in most situations, a higher offense is an even better defense. This build also takes advantage of one of the strongest gear sets in the Division 2, Striker's Battlegear, which increases weapon handling, rate of fire, and lets you stack damage with each consecutive weapon hit. To make the build even stronger, we are utilizing the Striker's Backpack, which increases total weapon damage gain per stack from 0.65% to 1%, nearly doubling the amount of damage we can achieve per stack. To achieve an even stronger damage output, we're using the Obliterate talent on the chest piece, which was recently buffed in TU20. Critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds now instead of 5, stacking up to 25 times. The finishing touch on the build is the St. Elmos engine exotic assault rifle, which has 70 rounds in the magazine, high crit chance and crit hit damage mods, and the Actum Est talent, which refills your magazine with shock bullets at 100 stacks. The perfect weapon choice for a striker's build. For the specialization, there's 3 reasons why I chose Gunner. You get 10% armor on kill, every third reload is 50% faster, and you also unlock the Banshee Pulse, which is great for crowd control. Primary weapon is the St. Elmos engine exotic assault rifle, expertise 14. 70 rounds in the magazine, 14% extra weapon damage, 15% AR damage, 21% health damage, and 10% damage to targets out of cover. For the talent, Actum Est. Shooting an enemy with this weapon will give you 1 stack. At 100 stacks, the next magazine will be 100% filled with shock ammo. Great for immobilizing your enemies. Secondary weapon and sidearm is going to be personal preference, but to be honest, 99% of the time, all you need is the St. Elmos. For the mask, I'm using the exotic Coyote's mask. Expertise 16, max weapon damage, crit chance, and crit damage with a max crit hit damage mod. Pack Instincts is a great talent because it applies crit chance and crit damage buffs based off of the distance that you are from your targets. When you're shooting from range, you can expect your crit chance to increase, and when you're fighting up close, your crit damage will increase. For the chest piece, Fenris Group AB, which unlocks an extra 10% AR damage on your build. Max weapon damage, crit chance, and crit hit damage with a max crit chance mod. For the talent, I'm using Obliterate, which was just buffed in TU20. Previously, the stacks only lasted 5 seconds, but now that time is doubled. Critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 25 times. Currently on this build, I have 48% crit hit chance and 158% crit hit damage. For the holster, my first piece of the Striker's gear set, max weapon damage, and 10.3% crit hit damage. From here, we can take a look at the gear set bonuses. 2 pieces of Striker's Battlegear unlocks 15% weapon handling, 3 pieces unlocks 15% rate of fire, and the 4-piece bonus unlocks Striker's Gamble. Weapon hits increase total weapon damage by 0.65%, stacking up to 100 times. Next, we have the Striker's Backpack, which amplifies our damage even further. Max weapon damage, 10.8% crit hit damage, a max crit hit damage mod, and the Risk Management talent, which increases weapon damage gain per stack of Striker's Gamble from 0.65% to 1%, which means at max stacks we can achieve 200% extra weapon damage instead of 130. Next, Striker's Gloves with max weapon damage and max crit hit damage. And lastly, Striker's Knee Pads with max weapon damage and max crit hit damage. For the skills, I'm using the Banshee Pulse, which is exclusive to the Gunner specialization. It's great for crowd control, and honestly, it gives you just enough time to take out your enemies. For the second skill, I like to use Riot Foam. It's an easy way to help you build up your stacks on tankier enemies, for example. You stick them to the ground, build up your stacks, and then utilize the damage buffs from Strikers and Obliterate to kill all other enemies around you. This next build is for anyone that wants high survivability with exceptional damage. This is achieved by using the HEARTBREAKER gear set, which is still, till this day, one of the most powerful gear sets in the Division 2. The playstyle involves stacking bonus armor as quickly as possible to unlock extra weapon damage for your build, while making you feel unstoppable at the same time. The easiest way to do this is by using the 4-piece HEARTBREAKER bonus talent, which is called Heartstopper. Weapon hits on pulsed enemies stacks 1% bonus armor and 1% weapon damage up to a maximum of 100 if you use the chest piece bonus. The quickest way to build up your stacks is by using the ACS-12 shotgun. After max stacks are applied, you switch back to the Kingbreaker assault rifle, which amplifies your weapon damage even further by 20% to pulsed enemies. I'm also using the Catharsis Mask on this build, which synergizes really well with the HEARTBREAKER gear set. The Vicious Cycle talent on the Catharsis Mask increases your weapon damage when you take damage, and you can also trigger a Purge, which drops a healing cloud on the ground. Thanks to the Ballistic Shield, Defender Drone, and Protection from Elites mods on the build, you are going to feel unkillable. For this build, you want to use the Technician specialization. It unlocks an extra skill tier on your build, which makes your Defender Drone stronger. You deal 12% extra damage to drones and robotics, and you unlock the Linked Laser Pointer Weapon mod, which is essential for keeping enemies pulsed at all times. For my primary weapon, the named Kingbreaker Assault Rifle, Expertise 16, max weapon damage, health damage, and 10% damage to targets out of cover with the Perfect Flatline talent. This talent amplifies weapon damage by 20% to pulsed enemies. For the secondary, the Rock and Roll ACS-12 shotgun with the Perfect Extra talent. This shotgun will build your HEARTBREAKER stacks incredibly fast. To be honest, it's an essential piece of the build. Without it, it's going to be difficult to achieve max stacks with HEARTBREAKER. For the sidearm, the Busy Little Bee, which is an easy way to add extra damage to your build. Each shot to a different target builds a 20% weapon damage stack up to 200%. When you switch back to your primary, you'll have 200% extra weapon damage for 10 seconds. The first piece on the build is the exotic Catharsis Mask. Expertise 16, max armor, 20% incoming repairs, max armor regen, and 11% protection from elites. With Vicious Cycle, taking damage builds stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack grants 1% weapon damage. At max stacks, you trigger a Purge that drops a healing cloud on the ground. The first HEARTBREAKER piece on the build is the chest piece. For the bonuses, 2 pieces adds 15% assault rifle and LMG damage, 3 pieces gives you 15% weapon handling, and the 4-piece bonus, which unlocks Heartstopper. Headshots apply pulse for 5 seconds. Weapon hits on pulsed enemies adds a stack of 1% bonus armor and 1% weapon damage up to 50 stacks. I have max armor, max crit chance, with an 11% protection from elites mod. If you're looking for max survivability, you want to use the HEARTBREAKER chest piece because it comes with the max BPM talent, which increases max stacks for Heartstopper from 50 to 100 stacks. Next, we have the Picaro's Holster, which is a unique named item that includes 15% weapon damage as one of the attributes. You can see I added 6% crit hit chance with max armor. This piece is essentially giving you a blue core and a red core on your build at the same time. For the backpack, the second piece of HEARTBREAKER on the build, max armor, max crit chance, and a 13% protection from elites mod. The backpack comes with the Cold talent, which increases total bonus armor gained per stack of Heartstopper from 1% to 2%. In this case, the chest piece is adding more bonus armor stacks to your build, while the backpack allows you to achieve those stacks a lot faster. Next, HEARTBREAKER gloves with max armor and crit hit chance. And lastly, HEARTBREAKER knee pads with max armor and max crit hit chance. For the skills, I have my Defender drone at Expertise 14, which helped me achieve an extra 30% damage reduction when my Defender drone is active. This pairs nicely with the 35% protection from elites that we already have on the build. I also recommend using a ballistic shield because it helps protect you when you're building stacks with your ACS-12 shotgun. The last build we're looking at today utilizes armor on kill to make close range engagements more rewarding. This build is for anyone that prefers an SMG style playstyle with high survivability and tons of damage. The best way to achieve this is by using one of the strongest close range gear sets in the Division 2, Hunter's Fury. This powerful gear set amplifies your SMG damage, debuffs all enemies around you, and also provides armor on kill in return. When you pair this gear set with the Gunner specialization and the new Steelworks brand set, you're looking at about 40% armor on kill per enemy defeated. This means each kill feels rewarding because the more aggressive you play, the more survivability you get back in return. In order to stay alive with this build, you have to play aggressive, which means you want to stack as much damage as possible. This is why I'm using the Lady Death Exotic SMG, which amplifies your damage up to 75% when you're moving. Hunter's Fury amplifies your damage even further by 20% to all enemies within 15 meters, and lets you stack an additional 5% more weapon damage with each consecutive kill. The finishing touch on the build is the Intimidate and Adrenaline Rush talent combination. Intimidate is actually very powerful now after receiving a buff in TU20, giving you 3 stacks per second up to a max of 9, with each stack increasing your total weapon damage by 4% to all enemies within 10 meters. This is easily one of the deadliest close range builds in the Division 2. The best specialization to use for this Hunter's Fury build is Gunner. It adds 10% more armor on kill to your build, makes every third reload 50% faster, and unlocks the Banshee Pulse skill, which is amazing for staggering your enemies. For my primary weapon, I'm using the Lady Death Exotic SMG, one of the best exotics in the Division 2. Expertise 15, which gives you 15% extra weapon damage. I have max weapon damage, 20% crit hit chance, and 6% damage to armor. The Breathe Free talent gives you 4 damage stacks per second while moving, 8 stacks per second if you're sprinting. Each round fired consumes a stack, amplifying weapon damage by 75% and also increasing movement speed by 20% for 10 seconds per kill. You can also use the Ouroboros exotic SMG for a faster fire rate. This exotic SMG can only be obtained from the Paradise Lost incursion. I also like using the CMMG Banshee, which was just recently buffed in TU20. It received a 10% weapon damage buff and a plus 50 increase in RPM, making it one of the best SMGs this patch. You can see here 13% extra weapon damage thanks to expertise, max weapon damage, crit chance, and 10% damage to targets out of cover with Actum Est as the talent. Weapon damage is increased by 3% for every 10% ammo missing from the magazine. Starting with the mask, we have the first piece of Hunter's Fury. If we look at the gear set bonuses here, you can see that 2 pieces adds 15% SMG and shotgun damage to your build. 3 pieces adds 20% armor on kill and 50% health on kill, and the 4-piece bonus unlocks Apex Predator. Enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff, amplifying your weapon damage against them by 20%. Killing a debuffed enemy with your weapon disorients other enemies within 5 meters, and amplifies weapon damage even further by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. On this mask, I have max weapon damage, max crit hit damage, and a max crit hit damage mod. For the chest piece, I'm using the new Steelworks brand set, which gives you 10% armor on kill as the 1-piece bonus. This brand set fits perfectly on this build. I have max armor, 6% weapon handling, 12% crit hit damage, and a max crit hit damage mod. For the talent, Intimidate. The current talent description for Intimidate is actually incorrect at the moment. It's supposed to say while you have bonus armor, gain 4 stacks each second up to a max of 9. Each stack increases weapon damage by 4% to enemies within 10 meters. Hopefully they update the description soon because that's a huge talent buff if you ask me. Next, Hunter's Fury holster with max armor and 11.4% crit hit damage. I have a Sokolov Concern backpack which adds 10% SMG damage to your build, max armor, 10.4% crit hit damage, max crit chance, and a max crit hit damage mod. The best backpack talent to use with Intimidate is Adrenaline Rush. Whenever you are within 10 meters of an enemy, gain 20% bonus armor for 5 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. Next, Hunter's Fury gloves with max armor and max crit hit chance. And lastly, Hunter's Fury knee pads with max armor and max crit hit damage. Collectively on this build, I have 52% crit hit chance, 144% crit hit damage, 1.7 million armor, and almost 700k armor on kill per enemy. For the skills, I recommend using the Banshee Pulse so you can immobilize your enemies and utilize your Intimidate stacks more efficiently. And lastly, the Ballistic Shield to increase your survivability and also help you maintain those Adrenaline Rush bonus armor stacks. Thank you guys so much for sticking around until the end and watching the whole video. Just a friendly reminder, if you want to enter the giveaway for the free BenQ monitor, all you have to do is follow the link below in the comments section to submit your entries. The more entries you submit, the higher your chances will be of winning. The winner will be selected on February 22nd, so submit your entries as quickly as you can. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up would be very much appreciated. I'm not gonna lie, it feels good to make Division content again, and your support would be very much appreciated. If you want to see more Division 2 videos coming soon, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on those bell notifications so you are notified every time I drop a new video. Take care, everyone.